With my deafness, a big thing is a communication barrier with my providers. In the past, I never felt comfortable using interpreters for my appointments. So I would go in and basically use a pen and paper to communicate with my doctors for regular checkups. But as my health issues became more complicated, I started accepting the use of sign language interpreters, and it really improved communication. But at the same time, I still feel like I don't get the same equitable information as other people would from their visits. The medical field has to do a better job of making sure that information and test results are accessible to everyone, not just people with disabilities. Because when I get test results or I have some kind of discussion with the doctor, they'll tell me things. I'm not sure if I'm understanding exactly what they're saying, and then they're gone. Or they're off to another subject, and I'm not even really sure I understand what they're saying and how it relates to me. For example, I was in a hospital, and they were doing tests, and they told me that I had congestive heart failure. I've heard of that condition in the past, but I wasn't sure exactly what that was going to mean for me. So I Googled it, and of course the first result that comes up is about life expectancy, 2 years to 3 years. And I thought, oh no, that can't be right. That leads me to not wanting to find out about more information. So I have learned things through reading various articles. But in that initial moment, when they told me what I had, they didn't really go into what that was going to mean for me personally and the impact it was going to have on my life. It showed me communication is such a huge factor. It took a lot of questioning and a lot of going back and forth, but I finally figured out what it was. And it wasn't as major as what I had initially thought it was. People with disabilities are equally important to any other people, but we also might have other health issues that impact us that may not impact other people. And I think that this program and the research that comes from it could be very helpful. If you're collecting data from enough people, and you get enough people with those particular conditions, you can see the patterns. And you can see how people are impacted and what other risk factors they should be aware of. I think it's really important that people with disabilities are represented in this research program. If you're only looking at the healthiest people, you're ignoring a lot of things that can happen to those who might be struggling with a chronic disease or condition. The good thing about science and research is that it's one of the only processes in the world where there's constant testing. There's a constant experimenting. There's constant hypothesizing as to what is possible. And you think you know certain things, but the only way you know is through testing. And researchers are people too. They're also learning. But I trust the overall process, and I believe this will lead us to better results for everyone, including people with disabilities.